Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Jason Thrifts, and I'm back with scores video number 10. 10. Man, these are, it just seems like I just started doing these a week ago. Nope, 2.5 months ago. All right, these are my little quicker videos. So each week I host 2 full-hour YouTube shows. But if you don't have time for that, and or if you want some more knowledge, pop into my little once a week, usually on Wednesdays, short scores videos. These are the scores I've had from the past week. Some will be from Thrifty Business, but I'll offer you more insight, and others you will only see right here on my scores video. So let's not dilly-dally and get right into this. Those scores number 10, and these are the regular scores. Regular meaning not music. All right. First off is Pomare. If you've never heard of Pomare, is a vintage Hawaiian brand, been gone a long time. And it's actually, there you go. That's the tag right there. Now, this is not the most exciting shirt. Not every guy wants to wear an exciting shirt. Sometimes these just two color, blue and white, do just fine. As you can see, it sold for $40. Yay. And it also sold in AU. AU means Australian money, Australian dollars. And that means I sold this directly on eBay.au. I think it's .au. Yeah. So again, if you're not listing internationally, you're missing out on so many customers. Pick this up for $5.99. All right. Now, sometimes I'm going to do a little what I did right and what I did kind of wrong. Sometimes pairing things together will make them more attractive. We've always talked about selling paint by numbers. These are 2 paint by numbers. Regular one on the left, black velvet on the right. However, Bambi, deer, squirrels, not the most exciting paint by numbers. And these aren't framed or anything, so they weren't all that woo to begin with. So I thought I'd put them together, and it sold rather quick. So that excited me. Now I had the same concept and thought process with this. Had this Margaritaville wood sign outlined in the rope, and I thought, oh, I will put this hanging tiki bar sign with it. Well, here's where I failed on this one. That Margaritaville sign can fit in a regular padded flat rate envelope. That tiki bar sign is too long. So I thought I could get away with easy, quick shipping, and nope, had to fashion a box for this. And so I was kind of annoyed at myself because the tiki bar sign, it's a cheap sign. I thought it would enhance the listing, and I ended up selling it for, I took a best offer of 23, I think. I ended up selling it for what I would have got the Margaritaville sign for anyway. So it didn't add anything in terms of value. But what it did was it caused me to have to work a little bit harder to ship it. So, yeah. So think about when you're putting things together. Is it going to make you go into a bigger package, a custom package, whatever it may be? All right. I've talked about this a zillion times. I'm gonna always talk about when I have those sales. Jeans are one of the few products that you can sell that they can be distressed. They can have holes. They can have rips. It doesn't matter. People will still buy them. My neighbor Richard was working on his house one day, and his pants were just destroyed and shredded and covered in paint. I go, oh my God, you know how much those jeans are worth right now? He goes, what? I'm about to throw these away. I'm like, no, people want them all worked in like that. That's money. And here, this isn't the most distressed pair of 501s you'll ever see. There's a hole in the butt, just like that. And there's a little tiny hole in the knee. So nothing major. But most, if you had an evening gown with a big old hole in the backside and a hole in the front side, you wouldn't even list it. But jeans, different story. Got these for $1.99 because of the holes and sold them for $22.49. Not the biggest sale in the world, but jeans are easy to list. They're easy to take picture of, and they're super easy to ship. So don't be afraid when you see jeans with holes and rips and scuffs and paint. That's attractive. All right, so I did show this on Thrifty Business. Now, this is a Schatz Royal Mariner barometer, and I wanted to go into a little bit more detail because I kind of just said this, and I didn't really explain it in case no one was understanding what I was saying. So I sold it for around $340. As you can see, I sold it in Great British Pounds, meaning I listed it and sold it directly on ebay.uk, and it's on its way to Europe. So here is how these normally look. So this one was sold for $249. It is just the barometer all by itself. Mine was already mounted, and it looks like that on a piece of wood. So with this, you have to be able to hang it from someplace or mount it yourself. I'm not a good hanger. I have a hard time finding the studs. I am not handy in that way. So if I really wanted a barometer and I saw this one where I could just set it anywhere, I'd be like, oh yeah. And I got $100 more for it. Partially would be because I asked for it, and partially would be because it's already mounted and you can just drop it anywhere. And it did have the original instructions inside, which was nice to find. The best part of this was I walked into a thrift store and the person was holding it. And I did the Jedi mind trick. I'm like, that is not the barometer you were looking for. That is not the barometer you're looking for. And it was a husband and wife, or a man and a woman, and they set it down. And my hands came in so fast, it was like a cobra striking. And their arms weren't even away yet when my arms came in and grabbed it. Now, I didn't know how good it was, but I could see it. I know it was cool. Nautical things like that, or not nautical, but well, the wood looks nautical. Barometers, weather instruments, and nautical stuff, all like that, do well. And so they were shocked when I pulled it so quick out of their way. But I'm glad I did. It was only $10. Woo! All right, and now it's time for my music scores. Let me throw a little music up there. Probably should have some music. All right, now, shared this last week, and I wanted to expand on this a little bit. Share this on Thrifty Business. Paid 69 cents for Dark Side of the Moon at Goodwill, as you can see. Sold it for $29.28. Excuse me. Now, bands that were around during the cassette era that are big, like Pink Floyd, sold a lot of cassettes. For whatever reason, Pink Floyd and the Beatles, they held their value. So other bands that were around that time that sold a ton of cassettes, say Deep Purple, Steppenwolf, The Who, you can get a couple bucks, but for whatever reason, the two big ones are Pink Floyd and the Beatles. They hold their value very well. So if you remember nothing else when you're looking at cassettes, look for the Beatles, look for Pink Floyd, and that's where you'll find money. Now, I've often said, if your items aren't good by themselves, group them together. Here is 4 heavy metal, hair metal, a hard rock, excuse me, cassettes from the 80s. I did take a best offer of 65. So when you can get $1.25 for a grouping, it's great. Now, I probably paid around 50 cents a cassette, and I sold it for $1.25. Not huge profit, but when you buy like whole collections, you pull out the expensive ones like Pink Floyd's for $30 and you sell those separate. And then the rest you break down into groups. And so when you can have one listing that sells a group of 40 cassettes and you make you sell them for $1.25 a cassette, that's pretty good. And then the ones that were really worthy brought more money. So that's how you do your cassettes. When you look at records, and I'll be doing a flipping records web class coming up very soon, look in the records. This one happened to have the press kit for this Triumph Thunder 7 LP. And so this record was a promo probably sent to radio stations or retail stores. And the press kit was some pictures of the band talking about why this album is so awesome and it's going to sell a lot of copies. And so to the collector, they want that. A collector would love to have the Triumph album, but a collector would way more love to have it with an original press kit from 1984. So when you look at records, look inside. Back in the 70s and in the 60s too, in the 80s, a lot of records had things inside. Now this didn't come in every record, obviously, but there was Kiss records that had posters. There was Beatles records that had posters. There was Cheech and Chong records that had rolling paper. So look inside the record to see if the extra goodies are there. Who wants a Carole King one song promo CD for $17? I don't know, but someone did, so I'm excited. Just because something doesn't look all that exciting doesn't mean it isn't. This was part of my big purchase of 2,401 CDs, and these lesser ones are popping off for around an average of $14, and I have 50 cents a CD in them. So $14, 50 cents times 2,401. That's going to be some nice profit by the end. All right, this one, I made a little boo-boo myself, and I don't know how, but I didn't know what this was when I got it. Norwegian Wood 2, This Bird Has Flown, which is Beatles, but this is the LA Workshop with the New Yorker. I'm like, what's that? I don't know, but I listed it and sold it for $25. Here's the crazy thing. I actually finally looked it up, and here's who is in the band. Now, Joe Sample, Lee Ritenour, Eric Gale, Richard T., and Ernie Watts are all jazz musicians. And if you like jazz, you probably know all of them. Steve Lukather is the guitar player from Toto. And so they did this Beatles thing together. I had none of that in the listing. None of that. These are all people that people would search for. Whoops. But sometimes, if the right eyes are on it, it will sell. Speaking of, I have no idea. I had no clue who Holly Knight was. Again, this was from that big promo purchase. Took a best offer of $25, and I was excited that sold. And I'm like, man, why would someone want Holly Knight? Now, look, I know my music. I know my music, and I had no idea who Holly Knight was. Well, she never hit it big as a singer, but man, did she hit it big as a writer. She wrote Ragdoll for Aerosmith, Obsession for Animotion, Love's a Battlefield for Pat Benatar, Better Be Good to Me for Tina Turner, The Warrior by Scandal. She was inducted in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. She has 13 ASCAP awards. She's a big deal songwriter. I'm kind of like, how'd I not know that? But it's so cool that I sold her CD. And guess what? Excuse me. It's off to Peru. Woohoo. Again, you never know what someone across the world needs. And someone in Peru needed a Holly Knight promo CD single. Isn't that awesome? All right, last thing I'm going to share with you. Whoops, let's move that over. These are the kind of CDs that you would never, ever blink at. You would never look twice at. The Sound of Music, a live Australian cast recording. You would think, what? No one cares. But apparently someone did, in the tune of $40. And I paid $1.99 at Savers. Okay. So just because it doesn't look amazing doesn't mean it isn't amazing. All right. So coming up this Thursday, whoops, wrong graphic. This Thursday on Thrifty Business, which is at 8 o'clock East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. My good friend Stephanie owns the Glam Factory vintage clothing store right here in Las Vegas. And her store is world famous. World famous, you say? Yep. Her customers come from Japan to shop at her store, and they buy a lot. They come from Europe and shop at her store, and they buy a lot. And celebrities, mainly singers, come and shop too. But what do you do when you own a brick and mortar where you're paying your lease or your rent, your property taxes, and a worldwide pandemic shuts everything down? So the Japanese customers aren't coming, the European customers aren't coming, and there's no celebrities coming because the reason celebrities are here usually is they're on tour. And so they're playing their gig, and during the day, they're coming and shopping. So none of that's happening. What do? Well, Stephanie started to really focus on selling online. She had sold online in the past, but really ramped it up. So we'll see how she's doing, how she ramped up her online selling, and how she's sourcing in this time of social distancing. And then on Sunday, Mom and I will be on, and we are on Sunday nights, selling past your expiration date, being thrifty or 50 at 7 o'clock East Coast, 4 o'clock on the West Coast. And this week we're talking Q4 prep success. It is September, the first week of September, and you need to be ready for Q4 right now, this week. If you start next week, you're already late and behind the ball. So we're going to talk about what you need to have done in order to have a very successful Q4. Supplies you need to have ordered, listings you need to have listed, pricing you need to have done, sales, all that stuff. We're going to talk about Q4 prep, and we'll make sure that every single one of you has a successful Q4. All right, both those shows, the links are going to be right at the end of this video. So click on them, and it'll take you to either Thrifty Business or Selling Past Your Expiration Date. Hit that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, Jason T. Smith. And when you subscribe, hit that bell. It lets you know when I'm going live, and I'll see you around the thrift store. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye. Just kidding. Have a good day. Bye-bye.